Bolivar law has already been approved by the United States House of Representatives, and it will most likely be approved by the Senate, as Senator Rick Scott will ensure so, as he has been crucial in formulating it along with most Florida bipartisan congressmen. Security advisors Ivan Simonovic and Eric Prince are also supporting Bolivar law. Here in Venezuela, I am also an enthusiastic supporter of Bolivar law, and I already have a first candidate for it to be applied. It refers to Antonio Ekarri. Antonio Ekarri was a presidential candidate who was supposed to be from the opposition, and he managed to conquer most of my political team into his campaign due to a fake message of moderation. It turned out that almost nobody voted for him, as usually happens with third-party candidates, which would have been fine if he had respected the real results. However, since the very first few days, when all signs were warning that the actas or official transcripts of election results clearly provided absolute victory to opposition candidate Edmundo González Urrutia, Antonio Ekarri's high counseling team suggested to stop communications between supporters who were starting to learn the truth, and suggested that having Edmundo González Urrutia as a president-elect would not be to the best interest to the party coalition supporting Antonio Ekarri. Thus, it was preferable to let Maduro steal the election, remain in power as a de facto dictator, and concentrate in new elections for governors, mayors, councilmen, and deputies at the National Assembly as a consolation prize in order to turn the page. Such undemocratic behavior is unacceptable and requires full application of Bolivar law. Antonio Ekarri and the highest leadership of his coalition should all be revoked their United States visa. They should no longer hold bank accounts in foreign currency, which would actually be interesting because we must remember that most political campaigns in Venezuela function through transfers via Zelle, which is an online interbank paying system associated with SWIFT in United States bank accounts. Furthermore, Bolivar law states that property in the United States must be frozen, and similar sanctions must be made to specific individuals and their family members who collaborate or cohabit with the Venezuelan regime. As a victim of lies by the Antonio Ekarri campaign, I support those people who directed that campaign to be applied the full extent of Bolivar law, because they acted as Democrats but remained in close proximity with the dictatorship. Antonio Ecarri has never been able to recognize that Edmundo González Urrutia won, which is a shame because Italy, Ecuador, United States, Canada, Uruguay, Argentina, Peru, Costa Rica, Poland, Hungary, the European Union, Chile, and so many other countries that should be aligning themselves soon with Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Bolivar law vision of exerting maximum pressure until tyranny falls out. Other candidates to be applied the Bolivar law are Carlos Prosperi, who was another candidate in the primaries, for which I also voted. Should I apologize for having voted for people who ended up supporting the dictatorial regime? They conveyed a message of reconciliation, and they promoted the fact that dialogue and moderation were preferable than being a hardline hawk. And those people betrayed my ingenuity, and they made me realize that only hawkish hardline is the acceptable method for getting rid of this dictatorship. Now it is confirmed that standard elections with moderate candidates will take Nicolás Maduro into power, as his dictatorship will always be able to bribe those campaigns, offering them lots of money and inventing a narrative in total opposition to Edmundo González Urrutia, a unity opposition. The Castro communist regime is effective in provoking infighting in the opposition. 1 year and 1 month after the primaries in which Antonio Ecarri did not participate and Carlos Prosperi did participate, came second, and later went into supporting Maduro, it is now understandable that the Venezuelan people made the right choice in having Maria Corina Machado as the winner, as it seems that everybody else were liars and traitors. The process of shifting your political vision from moderate to hawkish hardliner is difficult, and it requires straining previous relationships with other moderates that were supposed to work out, until you notice that such moderates at the end do not mind in staying under the yoke of dictatorial regime forever. We need to get rid of Maduro. We need to get rid of Diosdado Cabello. We need to get rid of Venezuelan drug trafficking. And we need to get rid of impunity of criminals. Recent news from New York City portray a Tren de Aragua criminal assaulting a prosecutor involved in the cases against Donald Trump. The Venezuelan Tren de Aragua illegal migrant performed obnoxious activities in front of his victim and was later arrested. Such people must be deported. Venezuela should take deportees because it's our nationals. We cannot ask United States to hold forever our illegal migrants. But here in Venezuela, we have nowhere to place them because our jails are already a center of corruption where they came from and where they learn sophisticated techniques of evil. I request President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador to step in and offer an innovative solution on how to deal with Venezuelan criminal gangs. Because many of them are harassing United States, they must be deported. Venezuela has no suitable facilities to receive them, and perhaps Nayib Bukele will have the vision on what needs to be done. It is time for the international community to step up beyond communiques and press releases deploring theft of elections in Venezuela. Congresswoman Cayetana Álvarez de Toledo from Spain is in Colombia. Cayetana has been an enthusiastic supporter of the Venezuelan cause, and she is worried that Nicolás Maduro may stay in power forever if the international community does not commit itself more firmly to establishing a definite solution. Spain, by the way, is starting to become a third world country. Public parking lots in the city of Valencia, which was recently flooded with natural disaster Dana, are full of illegal immigrants from Morocco who ask native Spaniards to pay them fees so that they can park freely on the street without having their cars hijacked or vandalized. An investigation 4 years long of Delcy Rodriguez, the Venezuelan dictatorship vice president, arriving into Barajas airport and violating European Schengen zone, has determined that either gold or cash in euros or dollars was provided from illegal mining activities or drug trafficking activities in Venezuela for political campaigns of the Spanish official Socialist Party. Witnesses confirmed this week that President of Spanish government Pedro Sanchez was well aware of the move and technically did not do much to stop it until it was too late. They even were supposed to organize a feast near Madrid Barajas Airport with Delcy Rodriguez, which at the end didn't happen, as the case quickly became known around the world, and Delcy Rodriguez had to leave before Interpol could catch her at the Spanish airport. Santiago Abascal is asking the Spanish government to resign, and he would be a fantastic new president of the government of Spain. We must concentrate in letting Marco Rubio and Donald Trump know that if Spain gets Santiago Abascal as the new head of government in Spain, after they dissolve their Congress and convoke new elections, Europe will also be freed And we will also make Europe great again. And with both America and Europe great again, it will only be a matter of short time to make all the Americas, that means Central America, South America, the Caribbean, and North America, all great again. Along with Europe, Western civilization will be made great again. However, we still have to deal with dictatorship in Cuba, chaos in Haiti, statehood in Puerto Rico, and effective granting of power to President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia in Venezuela. Cuba has the possibility of entering a similar status as Puerto Rico. Cuba could become an associated state to the United States, or even apply for statehood just as Puerto Rico already has. If Cuba were to remain independent, it would be necessary that the international community led by the United States promote regime change. At this time, international community is still brainwashed by the Cuban regime, as confirmed by United Nations resolutions which usually support Cuba and condemn United States and Israel on the matter. In the case of Haiti, President of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, has already expressed an interest in promoting law, order, and security in the Caribbean nation, but unfortunately, Nayib Bukele has not been given permission and resources to do so. Puerto Rico must quickly become the 51st state because it would be the beacon of progress available to nearby countries, Venezuela, Haiti, and Cuba. The Dominican Republic then would be a sovereign country fully bordering various United States protectorates, as it shares a land border with Haiti and sea borders with both United States territory of Puerto Rico soon to become a state, and Dominican Republic Caribbean Sea border with Venezuela is perhaps the longest sea border in the Caribbean. And it sounds that Venezuela will also become a protectorate of the United States if Maduro refuses to leave power, if Edmundo González is no longer allowed to enter the country and lead, perhaps a long intervention from the international community led by the United States will be needed, and thus Venezuela would become a United States protectorate, which the Venezuelan population will probably not mind, as many of us support Donald Trump's plan to make America capitalist and great again. In the event that either Haiti, Cuba, Puerto Rico, or Venezuela eventually becomes states of the United States, they would get 2 senators each. Venezuela would have an electoral college importance similar to that of Texas or Florida. Puerto Rico would have a similar electoral college relevance as Connecticut, and Cuba and Haiti would have a significant number of electoral votes, such as states as Illinois or Ohio. Other states would reduce the number of electoral votes that would be awarded to them as the sum of electoral votes is limited to 2 votes per state represented by their senators and 435 votes distributed between all states, old and new, which would reduce the number of congressmen available for existing states in order to provide room to new congressmen to new states that would be admitted to the Union. If America keeps playing identity politics, Hispanics will laugh about it. Hispanics used to be the most democratic constituent, just like African Americans, but Hispanics are quickly evolving into Trump and the Republican Party, and now it is safe to assume that approximately half of Hispanics are for the Democratic Party and half of Hispanics are for the Republican Party. You can no longer say that Hispanics are owned by any of the two parties, which means that if either Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Haiti, or Cuba were to become new states, political battles within these territories that could become states if the world of order does not facilitate an acceptable solution for the well-being of its population, political campaigns in Cuba, Haiti, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela would be fiercely competitive between Democrats and Republicans, which would probably provoke increased funding and interest from the rest of the contiguous 48 states, Alaska and Hawaii, for their new Hispanic brethren that would incorporate into the Union, as of course both Democrats and Republicans will like to earn the Hispanic vote in the new states, and at this time it is unclear who would prevail. Therefore, denying admission to statehood to any of the new territories based solely on the grounds of political calculations of either Republicans or Democrats is wrong, because all these new states would automatically become swing states. Of course, having Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela as a state at this time would be a last-minute resort scenario. The only probable scenario right now is to support statehood for only Puerto Rico. Once Puerto Rico becomes a state, it will have a special relationship with Venezuela, with Haiti, and with Cuba, and Puerto Rico politicians will have ample powers of promoting the definite state of relations with complicated neighbors in the Caribbean. The Dominican Republic, as a sovereign country bordering protectorates of the United States, would probably rely more on the CARICOM, the Community of Caribbean Countries, so that both CARICOM and United States interact in a similar manner as North America does with Canada. It is also important to signal that Mexico could perhaps be kicked out of the North American Union if it opposes war against drug gangs and cartels. Donald Trump has been very explicit, and he will deploy the full military might of the United States against cartels within Mexico, and President Claudia Sheinbaum opposes to do so, as her campaign has been financed with drug trafficking money, and she has always supported drug traffickers, communists, and terrorists, and she has the same friendships as Nicolás Maduro. Moderates will have to realize that remaining a moderate means being absorbed by the horrible regimes associated with China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Latin American countries are usually attracted to those faraway powers only because of resentment against the United States and because they want to destroy capitalism and make everybody poor. Latin Americans seem not to be used to say that they want to become rich. And they are learning to do so, and there are increasingly histories of success in Latin America, and of course, the most notable and formidable history of Latin American success is new Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has made all the American dream from beginning to the end. We wish Marco Rubio a lot of intelligence in promoting peace through strength in the Americas under his leadership, as directed by Donald Trump.